The defense is dead. For years, Andrew Mountbatten Windsor has hidden behind denials, settlements, and a disastrous BBC interview where he claimed his friendship with Jeffrey Epstein was a simple mistake he rectified in 2010. That narrative has just been obliterated by a single haunting image. The latest Department of Justice document dump, triggered by the Epstein Files Transparency Act, has released a visual so grotesque and inexplicable that it instantly strips away whatever shreds of dignity the former Duke of York had left. The photograph does not show a statesman or a war hero. It shows a man on all fours crawling over a woman sprawled on the ground, staring directly into the camera lens with a look that is impossible to misinterpret. There is no context that can save him from this. There is no royal protocol that explains why a prince of the realm is captured in such a predatory, compromising position. In two of the images, his hand appears to be touching the woman's stomach. The woman is unidentified, fully clothed, and silent, but the image speaks louder than any witness testimony ever could. It is the visual definition of the power dynamic Andrew has tried to deny for decades, the powerful man looming over the vulnerable subject, captured for posterity in the sick archive of a convicted sex offender. This image is the centerpiece of a 3 million-page data avalanche that has just landed on the steps of the Royal Lodge, and it completely rewrites the history of Andrew's relationship with Epstein. If the photograph is the visual shock, the emails are the written confession. For years, Andrew claimed he severed ties with Epstein after the financier's 2008 conviction, framing himself as a man who acted with honor once he knew the truth. The new documents prove that was a lie of monumental proportions. In September 2010, 2 years after Epstein was registered as a sex offender, the two men were not just meeting, they were plotting. An email exchange released by the DOJ shows Epstein asking for a meeting in London, explicitly requesting private time. Andrew's response is a betrayal of the monarchy itself. He suggests dinner at Buckingham Palace, adding the chilling promise, lots of privacy. Epstein's reply is 2 words that should terrify the palace: BP, please. Let that sink in. A convicted pedophile, fresh out of prison, was not just invited into the heart of the British monarchy. He was given the keys to the castle. Andrew didn't just meet him in a park, he used his mother's home, the seat of the royal family, as a safe house for a sex offender. BP, please is not the request of a distant acquaintance. It is the demand of a partner who knows he has access. The familiarity is stomach-turning. They weren't discussing charity or redemption. They were using the walls of the palace to shield themselves from scrutiny. This revelation shatters the idea that Andrew was a naive fool. Naive fools don't arrange secret summits at Buckingham Palace for registered sex offenders. Conspirators do. The BP emails are damning, but the correspondence regarding a 26-year-old Russian is arguably worse. In August 2010, Epstein emailed Andrew offering an introduction to a woman he described as clever, beautiful, trustworthy. This wasn't a social introduction. It reads like a transaction from a menu. Andrew's response was immediate and eager. He didn't ask who she was or why he should meet her. Instead, writing from his The Duke account, he replied that he would be delighted to see her in Geneva. But then came the kicker. He asked if she would be bringing a message from Epstein. This single sentence destroys the "I broke it off" defense. Andrew wasn't trying to escape Epstein's orbit, he was using Epstein's network as a courier service. He was an active participant in the ecosystem, willing to meet a trustworthy young woman in a foreign city on the recommendation of a man he knew was a predator. The files also expose Andrew not just as a participant, but as a member of the cleanup crew. Following the publication of photographs showing the two men walking in Central Park in December 2010, the panic set in. In the BBC interview, Andrew claimed this meeting was the moment he broke off the friendship. The emails tell a completely different story. Writing to Epstein after the photos leaked, Andrew said, "It would seem we are in this together, and we'll have to rise above it. In this together." Those are not the words of a man severing ties. Those are the words of an accomplice circling the wagons. The correspondence reveals that Epstein was paranoid that a staff member, identified only as J, had leaked the photos to the press. Epstein wanted this person gone and discussed a $60,000 severance payment to buy their silence. But Epstein was smart enough to know he couldn't pay the money himself without it looking like a bribe. "A payment from me would look like a payoff for the little earth," Epstein wrote. Andrew didn't tell him to stop. He didn't tell him to go to the police. Instead, the Queen's son volunteered to help launder the hush money. "I assume it could come from any legal firm to protect," Andrew wrote, suggesting they use lawyers as a buffer to hide the source of the funds. This is the behavior of a man comfortable with cover-ups. He was advising a sex offender on how to pay off a whistleblower without leaving a paper trail. The emails do not confirm if the money was sent, but the intent is undeniable. Andrew was willing to use his knowledge of legal loopholes to protect Epstein from the consequences of his actions. The release also drags Sarah Ferguson back into the center of the storm. While she has portrayed herself as a victim of Epstein's blackmail, the tone of the emails suggests a different reality. The documents show Epstein was discussed as a trusted confidant within the York household. He was invited to Andrew's birthday at St. James's Palace in 2010. There were constant discussions about money, introductions, and access. The phrase, "my U.S. family," used by Andrew to describe Epstein's circle, suggests a level of intimacy that goes far beyond a casual acquaintance. Sarah's claims of being trapped by Epstein look increasingly thin when set against records of her husband inviting the man to birthday parties and arranging private dinners at Buckingham Palace. The Yorks weren't hostages. They were willing guests at the table, gorging themselves on the connections and cash that Epstein provided, only crying foul when the bill finally came due. The data dump also includes a sickening email from late December 2010, shortly after Epstein was released from house arrest. Andrew wrote, "How are you? Good to be free." This casual celebration of a predator's freedom is perhaps the most morally bankrupt moment in the entire file. There is no concern for the victims, no acknowledgement of the crimes, just a pal slapping another pal on the back for beating the rap. It completely contradicts the somber, regretful tone Andrew tried to adopt during his television interviews. Behind the scenes, he was cheering for the bad guy. For the victims of Jeffrey Epstein, the tone of these emails is a fresh assault. To see a member of the royal family treating a sex trafficker with such deference, "BP, please," is a validation of their worst fears. That power protects power. The casual normalization of Epstein's presence in royal spaces, the way he was shuffled between St. James's Palace and Windsor like a visiting dignitary, is an indictment of the entire institution that protected Andrew for so long. The Transparency Act has done exactly what it promised. It has made the invisible visible. It has taken the rumors and turned them into JPEG files and PDF documents that cannot be spun by a PR team. The photographs of Andrew on all fours are already circulating globally, becoming the defining image of his downfall. They are haunting not just because of what they show, but because of what they imply. Who took the photo? Why was he posing? What game were they playing? The lack of context makes it infinitely more sinister. It strips Andrew of his humanity and reveals the grotesque reality of his private life. He is no longer the Duke of York. He is the man in the picture, frozen in a moment of predatory absurdity. Andrew Mountbatten Windsor has already lost his titles, his military honors, and his home at Royal Lodge. But this latest release takes the one thing he had left: the benefit of the doubt. There is no ambiguity in a photo of a man crawling on the ground. There is no nuance in an email setting up a hush money payment. The drip feed of revelations has turned into a flood, and Andrew is drowning. The DOJ has confirmed that more documents are coming, but they almost aren't necessary. We have seen enough. We have seen the prints on his knees, and we have seen the emails that prove he sold out the integrity of the monarchy for a dinner with a sex offender. The mystery is over. The favorite son was exactly who we feared he was, and now we have the pictures to prove it.